David Parker Ray, infamously known as the Toy Box Killer, is one of the most terrifying serial offenders in American history. His crimes, which took place in the small town of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, reveal a twisted world of sadism and horror. Unlike most serial killers who operate with a clear pattern of murder, Ray was a methodical torturer who transformed an old mobile home into his personal chamber of nightmares. This soundproofed trailer, which he chillingly referred to as his toy box, was filled with chains, whips, surgical instruments, and an array of other devices designed to inflict unimaginable pain on his victims. A life of hidden darkness. Born in 1939 in Belen, New Mexico, David Parker Ray grew up under the influence of an abusive father and a highly unstable household. His childhood was marked by neglect and violence, fueling a deep-seated fascination with torture and sadomasochistic fantasies. As a young man, he developed an obsession with sexually violent pornography and started creating detailed journals describing horrific acts of cruelty. Though he maintained an outwardly normal life, working as a mechanic and appearing as a seemingly unremarkable member of society, he harbored dark desires that would eventually manifest into real-life terror. The nightmare begins. Ray's gruesome crimes took place over several decades, though the exact number of his victims remains unknown. His method was calculated. He would abduct women, often prostitutes or runaways, using deception or force. Once inside his toy box, the victims were subjected to unspeakable horrors. Ray would play pre-recorded audio tapes outlining what was about to happen to them, psychologically breaking them before inflicting physical torment. His brutal methods included electroshock, surgical procedures, and the use of bizarre mechanical devices. To ensure compliance and prevent them from escaping, he would often drug his victims with powerful anesthetics like sodium pentothal and phenobarbital, causing memory loss. Accomplices in crime. Ray did not work alone. His girlfriend and accomplice, Cindy Hendy, played a crucial role in luring victims and helping to keep them restrained. Additionally, his daughter Glenda Jean Jessie Ray and other suspected associates may have participated in his crimes. The group was suspected of murdering some victims, though no bodies were ever definitively recovered. This lack of physical evidence made it difficult for authorities to determine the true extent of Ray's atrocities. The fall of the toy box. Killer Ray's reign of terror came to an abrupt end in March 1999, when one of his victims, Cynthia Vigil, managed to escape. She had been held captive for days, enduring torturous abuse. When Ray and Hendy left the trailer, she seized the opportunity to flee, managing to reach a neighbor's house, still naked and covered in chains. The neighbor immediately contacted the police, leading to Ray's arrest. As investigators searched his property, they uncovered his chilling toy box, filled with grotesque instruments of torture and detailed recordings of his past crimes. The investigation and trial authorities soon realized they had captured one of the most sadistic predators in history. Despite the lack of recovered bodies, forensic evidence and victim testimonies were enough to bring Ray to trial. His psychological manipulation had left most of his victims with fragmented memories, making the prosecution challenging. However, as more victims came forward, including Angelica Montano, who had previously reported being abducted but was ignored by law enforcement, the case against Ray solidified. In 2001, Ray was convicted of multiple counts of kidnapping and sexual torture. He was sentenced to 224 years in prison, ensuring he would never harm another victim again. However, justice was short-lived. Ray died of a heart attack in May 2002, just 1 year into his sentence. The unanswered questions. Despite Ray's death, many questions remain. Authorities believe he may have killed over 60 women, yet no bodies were ever found. His carefully maintained records hinted at a larger, more complex network of crimes, leading some to suspect that he had other accomplices who have never been identified. The exact number of his victims will likely never be known, leaving many families without closure. The legacy of horror David Parker Ray's crimes serve as a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. His case exposed flaws in the justice system, particularly regarding how reports of sexual violence were often dismissed or ignored. Many of his victims had sought help before, but were not taken seriously, allowing his reign of terror to continue for years. Today, his case is studied by criminologists and law enforcement agencies as an example of how predators can hide in plain sight. The Toy Box Killer's story remains one of the darkest chapters in true crime history. It is a haunting example of the evil that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life, and a stark warning that monsters sometimes wear ordinary faces.